And we are live. Hello everyone, welcome to our Boring Revolution, your number one news source for everything regards to the Boring Company and Elon Musk. I'm delighted to be here with Blake from In-The-Hyperloop, and he's here live at Hawthorne, having a good look at, I can just see the tower in the background there, perfect angle. Yep. No night up there though, I'm surprised.
It's a nice sunny day. There's nobody on top of the tower yelling at people in French accents yet. Bonjour. But I do hear clitter-clatter of horse hooves sometimes over the din of the air conditioning units in the background. But yeah, we're right out of SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California. As I pan over, we're just kind of looking at the tents and stuff and the boring tunneling machines. And then kind of the main crane and the tents over there. The press tent is the farthest tent over there. And a lot of excitement. Some people here already and media are here right now. And it's just kind of surreal. I can't believe this is happening.
Wow. How many people would you say are attending the event approximately?
That's a good question. I have no idea. But the media invite list is pages long. So wow, yeah. It's just kind of exciting, and I think everything's kind of a go. It seems pretty chill and quiet, and subdued, and we still have many hours to go before tonight.
Yeah.
But I did a quick walk around, and this is pretty much all that you can see. I'm on the other side of Cranshaw Boulevard, the busy street, and there's the moat right here, and I also went to the brick store, and there's not much you can see over there. They have a lot of fencing and stuff, so there's really not much to see over there either. So
yeah, I want those bricks. I want those bricks badly. Yeah. I'm trying to get a pallet organised, big stack of bricks. I can build a nice barbecue. Yeah. It's going to be one hell of an event. Obviously a bit more exciting now. They've moved a day. They've announced that they're going to have these autonomous pods, which kind of really changes how the system is going to work, because obviously you're going to get up from the elevator and then you're going to have a bit of a loop, maybe around an estate, and then you can drop everyone off at their own home, which means the last mile problem is eliminated. So it's going to be fascinating to see what is unveiled. Is it going to look like a Model X? Is it going to look like the pods that we've seen in the actual pictures? Very intriguing. A lot of questions. I've got more questions than answers. But yeah, certainly going to be an interesting event. I'd be interested to see if he talks about the TBMs for a little while, because he does have some over there. If you can just see in the background
right there. Two little white circles as the aircraft flies over. We're right next to the airport.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then there's some palm trees, I think, for the snail habitat over there.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that. I really don't know what to make of this snail habitat. As long as they're well
right behind the palm trees over there.
Oh yeah, I can just see. Oh yeah, I can just see the palm trees now. That's great. It's a good little angle that with the crane.
Snail. And then there's some, just a ton of construction equipment. Some other TBM cross-section circles right there. A lot of cement making, or maybe those are brick. This is appears to be a brick little square house, and then there's the tower over there. But yeah, it's pretty quiet, as I said. We're just kind of in a holding pattern, and
I must admit, that tower now that I can see it from this far away, it actually looks very good. So I do feel kind of a little bit guilty for criticising the quality of the brickwork. But, it's meant to be a medieval tower, so it's meant to look a bit rough around the edges. So I will give them that. And they've put these nice kind of oldie-worldy kind of timber panels on the front, haven't they, above the windows, which looks kind of cool, I must admit. It's good. I just want to see the knights. Where are these knights?
Oh. I know, I haven't seen any. I've seen a lot of onlookers. And it seems like it's going to be a big event. I see little tiny hedges where there'll be, regular visitors and VIPs and press people. So it feels kind of like a Tesla event, perhaps. I've never been, but cool. It's going to have that kind of feel and that kind of gloss, I think. And the cross section of the TBM, it's bigger than I thought. Definitely a car is just wide enough to fit one lane in the diameter of the two, but those are big machines. Once you're up close,
getting a few questions coming through. Pat O'Shea asks, what time does this event kick off? So we've just found out via Twitter that it will kick off at 8 p.m. local time, so that's Pacific time. So if you can see that clock in the background, if you look behind me, it's coming up to 3 o'clock, so I've still got quite a bit of time. Unfortunately, we were hoping, myself and Blake were hoping it was going to start around 6, but it's just not quite worked out for both of us today. Unfortunately, it's not happened. But we get to watch the live event. I'm sure we're going to be really happy with what is said. Let's see what else we've got. So what are other people asking? Elon. Here we go. Here's a good question. Luke Bowering. Elon said they are creating a new form of transport. What are your thoughts? So, okay, Blake, let's hear what your thoughts are, and then I'll add a little bit.
Yeah, so I've been kind of learning about the Hyperloop industry for many years now. I've attended 2 of the pod competitions. I've interviewed a lot of student teams as well as professional Hyperloop teams. And really, Tesla and SpaceX, have been pushing for this pod competition team, and they have all the tech in the world to make it work. So, I have full confidence that yes, they could very well make the autonomous vehicles or the pods and make a new transportation system very easily.
I agree.
There's no question about that.
I agree.
Yeah.
And if you guys have not already done so, do follow Blake's channel in the Hyperloop. It is a great little channel. All the information he collects throughout the week about the Hyperloop, he condenses it down into nice sort of format for you to sort of absorb. There's a lot of information. He condenses it down for you. You can listen to it, and you can. And there's a lot of things that I pick up on there in terms of companies, and it's wow, let's go and follow them on Twitter. Let's have a look at the website, and I certainly learn a lot from Blake's channel. So definitely, guys, go out and follow Blake. In terms of just this question here, in terms of changing transportation, obviously you've got Hyperloop is kind of taking you in between cities, so quite long distances. Anywhere from sort of, 150 miles to maybe 800, 900, maybe 1,000 miles. And obviously, the Boeing company is kind of at the moment focusing on sort of the urban area. So taking people in and out of downtown into sort of local towns and cities in and around sort of LA at the moment. But you can maybe see in the future whereby you have a Hyperloop station which is maybe outside downtown, and then you can use the Boeing company to get into downtown from the Hyperloop station, or vice versa, then get the Boeing company to a Hyperloop station, then you can shoot off to Denver or wherever you want to go, Seattle or San Diego, or, maybe even New York. Who knows? But that is the future that both myself and Blake are looking forward to. It is an interesting space, very, very interesting space. I do enjoy listening to Blake's channel. A lot going on in that space. A lot going on.
And as you bring up the Boeing companies, focusing on more of the city and kind of dense urban development, and just looking at this TBM right behind my shoulder, I don't know if you can see that, somewhere over there.
Just
it's very narrow, and the house on the other side of the airport, which is just over there, where the shaft is coming up, you would have no idea that there's a big diameter shaft right there and an elevator right there. You would have no idea. I think it would be very quiet. I think it would just be a really game changer, I think. And just having these little tiny portals sprinkled throughout a city. So, It's really kind of strange to see it in person because it sounds like really big, but in the grand scheme of things, these little tunnel entrance will be pretty small. And if you had a whole bunch of them sprinkled throughout a city, that'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite ironic. Last night I was watching on the TV a little bit of a news segment by Panorama, which is part of the BBC, and they were talking about high-speed rail in the UK. And that company is buying up lots and lots of land along the route from London to Birmingham. And it's so complicated buying land. So many parcels of land they've had to buy. I believe it started off about 5,000 plots of land, and it's ended up around 7,000. Some of these plots of land are worth 3, 4, 5 million pounds, and it's just very expensive. If you could go under roads, under existing rail lines, even maybe under existing buildings, the amount of money you could save doing that, and it'd be perfect for a Hyperloop. So you could just direct it straight through the tunnel. You could keep it a perfect straight line, and you know, Bob's your uncle. If you can do it pretty fast, if you've got lots and lots of TBMs, you could finish that project in a pretty short period of time if you have the right number of TBMs, which is perfect. That's one of the problems done. You don't need to disrupt people. I mean, one of the people last night owned a business in Birmingham, and it's just absolutely destroyed her because she's lost all this land. She's had to move her business, and the compensation doesn't come straight away, so she's kind of lost a little bit of money. With the Boeing company, you could just go straight underneath her business, and she'd never know it was even there, which is exactly what we want.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just kind of remarkable, and you know, as I'm traveling around LA in my Uber and Lyft, it's nice to have that option of just going a little deeper underground. Cheaply. And I'm trying to think, what else can I show you? There's not much else I can show over here, but
so let's have a talk about the event tonight. So they're going to unveil this level 4 autonomous pod. They're also going to unveil what we believe is an elevator. Whether that elevator will be some kind of special super duper Elon engineered elevator, we don't quite know. I have no information whatsoever. It could just be a bog standard elevator straight off, the shelf, or it could be something amazing. I don't know. But the elevator is obviously a key part of this system, in that you can get in and out of the system pretty fast. So it'd be interesting to see that, and obviously maybe again you talk about TBMs, talk about how they're going to run the system. It's all very. He might even mention the Hyperloop. Who knows?
And I mean, that brings me back on the official boring page. This section of the tunnel will be used to prototype Hyperloop, and also I believe Elon mentioned that next year for 2019 SpaceX pod competition for university teams, they're going to be putting the pods in the tunnel over there, or right behind me, instead of on the other
the tube,
Jack Northrop. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So
that's interesting because the tube that they use at the moment for the actual the event that you attended, was it this year, wasn't it? It's this year. It's not like a big tunnel. It's not a big tube, is it? It's about 4, 5, 6 foot around. Yeah. So I wonder if they're going to.
It's about 5. Yeah.
So will they be sticking with kind of smaller versions, or will they go to a bigger kind of test vehicles, do you think?
All of the test vehicles are going to be fitting for that dimension, I think. I haven't heard anything else, but they'll just be on that kind of diameter tube and fit. But the pusher vehicle that would push the first year, or the first competition's vehicles, because they weren't like self-propelled, that was just a modified Tesla vehicle. And that would go up to like 200 miles an hour in the tube. So yeah, it's going to be really fast.
So in terms of, here's a good question. In terms of which teams you fancy next year? Obviously it was War, wasn't it? He did quite well this year.
Yeah, War Hyperloop has won like 3 years in a row, actually.
So they're obviously really the favourites. They're the favourites. Who would you say are sort of like the top teams we should be watching out for next year, in your opinion?
So, I don't want to be biased, but I would do the Irish team, Airloop, from Dublin, and a couple other universities. They've always been really, really strong. The Swiss team, EFP Hyperloop from Lucerne, they're really, really strong. And then, of course, the juggernaut, Delft Hyperloop, they are incredibly strong. So they're all European teams, pretty much. But, they're all going to give War Hyperloop a run for their money. So I hope they do really well.
So what we want to see next year is a really like close contest, a good little battle. Maybe only 5 or 6 miles per hour in the actual winning time. That would be that would be really exciting. Really exciting.
Yep.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look at some. We've got quite a lot of questions coming in. I'll be honest with you guys. This is my first ever live stream, so I'm just trying to get into the swing of it. Got a lot of questions lining up. Some of them are a bit ridiculous, but okay. Someone says, all right, let's grab that one so we can drag it across. Mr. Musk says there will be a party. Now, he said there was going to be, I remember watching it this morning, there'll be a trippy party underground, so I'm not sure what he means with that one. Does he mean everyone will be really drunk or be on LSD? I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. I think all the LED lights in the tunnel can change color, and they're all controlled to make any kind of color, so that would be pretty sweet.
It's a good. I must admit, like having a party in a tunnel sounds quite good. Like down because everyone will be like kind of close together, and you'd be sort of down there. If you had like a decent sound system, you get a good little echo in there, wouldn't you? It'd be cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Here's a good one. I like talking about this. I'm sick of the daily FUD attacks on Elon and his companies. Right. So, I think. When I first started following SpaceX and Tesla, like 3, 4, 5 years ago, you kind of like look at this and you think, oh, it's stupid, but it's just become so enraged now. All these FUD attacks. The best thing you can do is try and ignore it the best you can, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of people out there that hate on Elon Musk, and you've just got to, try and block out that negativity. I don't know what you think on this, Blake, but a lot of people criticising the Hyperloop and a lot of people criticising Tesla, and at some point you have to kind of say to yourself, you know what, let's just ignore it. Let's get on with building the projects, and let's just leave the haters to hate.
And as the helicopter lands, you learn so much by participating in big engineering projects. Like if these people that critique a lot were to learn about the technology and try to build these systems as well, and I don't know, I don't think they would critique as much because it's really hard, and it's just really fascinating to learn how these really complicated projects come together. So
it's difficult to build something. It's easy to destroy something.
Exactly.
If you've got that kind of mental. Let's have a look at some more questions. Let's have a look. Okay, so, oh my goodness, I cannot pronounce that name. I'm not... Lucas, is this demo tunnel going to be used for anything more than tests? So, as far as I'm aware, they can't use it as an operational tunnel. I believe they don't have the authority to use it for that. Thus, it's just going to be testing. Like I say, they might test the Hyperloop pod competition. They'll just do general tests with the actual boring pods, and then I don't know what will happen with it at the end. Maybe they'll just keep using it for tests. Maybe they might just fill it in. I don't know about that one. It'd be a logical thing if they then used it for the system at a later date once they'd expanded the system. But as of now, they will not use it for public transport. Okay. Someone said to me, you should take a nap and come back in a few hours since it's going to be at 8. Well, that is exactly what I'm going to do. Ironically, and I've told Blake about this, it's just I've not got back in the day, I might have had the stamina to stay up until still 4 o'clock in the morning.
I think that's the plan.
I've even got a Red Bull actually, but it's just no, it doesn't do you any good. Fun. It doesn't do you any good. So I am gonna go to bed once I've done this stream, and then come back online. So please, I'll schedule it on here, guys. Please come back, and we'll do the live stream, and then we'll have a quick chat, and then I'll probably go back to bed again. So
yeah.
Let's see what other questions we have. I like this one. This is a good one. So here you go, Blake. Tell me what you think about this. Instead of spending trillions of dollars, well, it's not trillions, it's actually billions. Instead of spending billions of dollars on the California high-speed train, which goes to nowhere, give it to the Boring Company. But it's kind of a long route, that. I think that's more of a Hyperloop 1, or Virgin Hyperloop, or Hyperloop TT.
Yeah.
Or I think that, because it's a bit too long for a pod. I think it needs to be a Hyperloop pod. What do you think?
Yeah, it is a very long distance, and there's a lot of environmental concerns about digging a railway through certain communities, and they do want to tunnel a lot of parts of the railway line, but you can't tunnel the whole thing. So it would be interesting to have the Boring Company to tunnel the whole route. But yeah, this one's a toughie because I do like high-speed rail a lot. So I don't know where I come down on this.
Me too. It's kind of like you're going to get a really cool toy for Christmas, and then something else comes along, and you're like, oh gosh, I want the Hyperloop. I don't want this. You've already started building the high-speed train, but let's rip it off and build a Hyperloop. It's not quite feasible, is it? But the good thing that I like about the Hyperloop is, especially if you're working with the Boring Company, you won't necessarily need to take it directly into a city centre. So you could have it 5 or 6 miles outside of downtown, and then you could have Boring pods linking all the major areas, and that obviously saves a lot of money in terms of acquiring land. Because if you look at high-speed HS2 in the UK, they're acquiring a huge piece of land right in the centre of Birmingham, which is costing hundreds of millions, and is just a terrible place to put it, because you've got to then thread it through all these old buildings and around things, and it just doesn't quite work. It'd be better if you could go underground and then have it kind of out of the city and then link it up. Okay, let's see what other questions we've got, guys. Someone says, well, this is boring. Ha 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 ha. It is. Yep. Oh, that's a good one. I'm liking all these questions. How might a pod differ from a car? It kind of is a car, without a steering wheel, without airbags, and without a seatbelt, and it just takes you where you need to go. So you walk to your loop station. You probably use an app on your phone. It'd say your pod is going to arrive in 2 minutes. You get on that pod with maybe 6, 7, 8 other people, and then it takes you to near where you need to be. With the new system, hopefully it's going to be a bit like a Waymo, so it'll drive you around and then take you to your house. That's kind of my thoughts on that. Go on.
I unfortunately don't know much about the pods either, so it's going to be really fascinating.
I don't think you learn about that. all I've got is some pictures and no specs whatsoever, which is a nightmare. So what's this? Someone says, is it not trillions? Oh, he's talking about California high-speed rail. So in terms of California high-speed rail, the project kind of went off the rails a little bit, because it's kind of trying to join up lots and lots of different places along the route, whereas it's better if you kind of go directly to the major cities rather than going in between them to all these little towns, and that slows down the train, and then it's not really worth it if it can only travel at 150 miles per hour. what you want is something going point to point. It's not trillions. I think it's, I don't know. It's about 150 billion, something around that. I can't. Yeah. Don't quote me on that.
And you know, I just want to point out that the Boring Company really has an interesting product. If they can do this really cheap or create tunnels really cheaply, I think a lot of municipal city governments would find this really interesting as kind of a subway light infrastructure, but you know, kind of like a high-speed bus route underground.
Yeah, definitely.
And so it's you know, I would think a lot of municipal governments would want something cheaper than high-speed rail, but still kind of doing something to solve transportation problems in a sustainable way. I don't know, over long distances.
I mean, I think you thinking kind of a similar way to me on this, Blake, is that I support public transport, but it's, you know, buses and trams and trains are not going to fix the problem. They will help the problem, but they won't fix it. So we need other things on top of that. So in Manchester, we've got the Metrolink, which when it arrived was an absolute godsend because the traffic was horrendous. But the traffic is still pretty bad, even with lots of trains and lots of trams and lots of buses. We obviously need something extra on top of that, and more cycling as well. And I'm sure the same is in Denver as well, where you live. So
we have a kind of a train line, and then light rail, and then a long distance bus network, but no like train line that connects multiple cities. And that's where I think the Boring Company or Hyperloop could help with connecting more regional cities, but I'm not sure.
Definitely. And unfortunately, Revo has been confirmed as bankrupt now, which is a great shame. That had a little bit of, definitely had some promise to it, but being a startup is hard. Being a startup is really hard. Let's have a look and see what other questions. Someone asking again about the time of the reveal. It will be at 8 PM local time. So we've still got a bit to go. About just under 5 hours. Someone says Elon likes firing people. I think he when he fires people, he fires them for good reasons. He doesn't just fire them because he's a kick-ass boss. Hello from Germany. Let's have that one. Hello there. Sprechen Sie Deutsch? Yes. Okay. Here's a good one. Elon says he wants to expand to LAX. That's on one of the original plans. I'd like to see Hyperloop station at LAX as well. We want to link people into the airport, definitely.
Actually, that's one thing that might be talked about. Since there was a change in routes, they were going to do kind of underneath the 405, I believe, the Highway 405. But then they're changing that, so maybe they'll have new information on different routes in the U.S. or internationally. I'm not sure, but that could be a topic.
That's cool. Yeah. You happy doing some more questions? We're getting quite a lot of questions, so I could just keep going if you like.
My battery is running a little low, but
How low is it? You think you can get
a little bit? I'm also burning through data,
it's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay. I'll tell you what. What we'll do is we'll say goodbye to Blake. Thank him for his time, and then I'll try and work my way through these questions and then have a nap. So what will I say? Thank you very much, Blake, for coming here to Hawthorne and showing us a bit of this place here, which is excellent. Definitely, if you have not already done so, guys, I think I put your YouTube page in the description. So please like and subscribe to Blake's channel. It is an awesome channel. He takes all that information, condenses it down, and then you can just consume it in nice bite-sized chunks, which is perfect because if you're like me and you're busy at work all day, then you don't want to be doing that. You want to sit down, listen to Blake, and then There you go. We've got all the information. He's done all the hard work for you. Thank you, and a personal thank you for doing this for us today. I do appreciate that. Thank you, Blake.
No worries. Anytime. All right. Talk to you later.
All the best. Take it easy, man. Don't be boring. See you soon. That was Blake. He has gone. So let's see if we can finish through these questions quickly. I'm going to shoot off to bed and see if I can get 2 or 3 hours. Okay, is the Dodger Stadium tunnel going to be the first true public use tunnel? Yes, it is. That will be the first one that the public can actually use and buy tickets. That is looking to start early to midway through next year, I believe. I think that will finish before the Chicago project, although that is still ongoing. Trying to get through the environmental assessment for Chicago, so hopefully that will be done fairly soon. Did you notice the new Tesla Megapack Dimensions is smaller than the tunnel? It is not a coincidence, because they're going to use those for the TBM, and they're going to pack absolutely, hundreds of megawatts into that TBM to power it. And that's thanks to the Gigafactory in Nevada. Is it 8:30? It's 8 o'clock Pacific time. You have to think of when he's going to put that on top of Falcon H to dig on the moon. Yeah, well, radiation is a big problem on Mars, so it makes sense if they can put a large part of that settlement underground, and obviously then that solves the problem of having to build really thick sort of radiation barriers on the surface. Good question. How much infrastructure could be completed by the 2028 Olympics? Maybe a couple 100 miles worth of tunnels, maybe a bit more. It's difficult to say. It's difficult because it's a regulations issue. Are they going to get a lot? Not really regulations, but getting it all approved. I think they could get a couple of 100 miles done before the 28, maybe 300 miles. Who knows? Elon would certainly want more than that. Yeah, I don't. It's difficult to say. It's difficult to say. It's difficult to be a boss. I've done it in the past, and it's just, unfortunately, sometimes you kind of act in the heat of the moment, and maybe things get said. But that's business for you. Unfortunately, if you're worried about getting fired, you need to work harder. It is a glorified tube system with shorter trains. I won't use the word glorified. It's definitely part of the solution. What is the advantage of small pods versus a large carriage? Well, a large carriage is obviously heavier. It causes more wear and tear on either the road or the rails. It's mainly to do with the last mile problem. So if you want to take people to within 150 metres of their destination, it's a lot easier doing it with small pods rather than trains. Essentially, it would look like a train if it was quite long, if it was like 70, 80 foot long. And also with a small pod, you can use the elevators because they're light and they've also got a small surface area. So that's the main reason for using small pods. Why are people still going travelling to work when they can work from home? Still alone. For some jobs, that is definitely true. I have worked from home in a previous job 1 day a week, and I would definitely recommend that, and I wish more people would do that. However, there are certain, I mean, I once did a job where I could have worked from home 4 days a week, but that company preferred not to do that, and it was a shame really. But people want to see people working. People are kind of certainly bosses want to see you working. If you're kind of 10, 15 miles away, they can't really have as much influence over you as they would like. That might be part of the issue, although it's not entirely all the issue. I wanted to do an episode on this particular topic, quint speed. I think that a good use for these tunnels would be freight, and certainly taking freight, maybe items like food, water, maybe like Amazon packages in the tunnel would be quite useful and would make profit. In the UK we have a lot of small convenience stores, and I always see these big trucks outside them, and I'm just thinking, like, could you do that via some kind of pod in a tunnel, some kind of like freight pod that looks a bit like a van? So definitely a good idea, that. When does the event start? It will start at 8 PM. I will be doing that event. Currently it is 3:30, so I'm going to get my head down for 4 hours because I'm here in the UK, and it is at present 11:30. When will Tesla be available in Saudi Arabia? I don't know. Maybe well over 18 months, I'd say. Boeing Courier is already giving rides to press and special guests. Cars are Model X with special bumper guides mounted to front. Oh, is it? Okay. Well, that's kind of what I said in my previous video. I didn't think they were going to produce some special kind of pod just for this event, although they clearly will use something that looks a bit more like the drawings that we've seen. At the end of the day, as long as you can get in and out of it fairly easily, and it can do 155 miles per hour, that's all we need at the moment. It doesn't necessarily need to look that good. I mean, the Waymo car looks horrible, in my opinion, if you've ever seen that. I think that's the last of the questions. The cars are driving down Prairie Avenue to 122 Street through alleyway to corner lot which has an elevator. Oh, do you? Gadget HDD. If you have... In the description to this video is my email address, Gadget HD. If you're still here, if you could contact my email address, which is boringproofrock, PRUFROCK, at gmail.com. If you send them there, like a link to your Dropbox or your OneDrive or whatever you use, and then I can use that and I'll give you a shout out on the channel. Well, that would be really awesome. Thank you very much. Ashley Hill, you've asked me this before about this Patreon. This will be my last question. So I kind of have thought about this, but I want it to be value for money for you guys. Now, I follow a guy called Galileo Russell who does Hyperchange, and what he does is he sends a weekly newsletter. Now, unfortunately, I just don't have I'd love to do something like that, but not only is there not much news to cover, it also would take up a lot of my time, and it'd be difficult. And I want to be able to give you something back for your money. So I do appreciate that. That's really awesome of you to say that you want to support me on Patreon, because that tells me that I'm doing the right things in terms of this channel. But thank you very much for saying that. At some point I will look at it in the new year. Maybe we'll just start off with $1 and for that $1, I'll give you a shout out maybe at the end of every month. Something along that lines. Maybe open it up to something else. Maybe do a Boring Company t-shirt and then offer all the Patreons like a good discount on it, like a 30-40% discount, something along those lines. Tell me what you think. If you're still here, tell me what you think to that suggestion. If not, thank you very much for talking. This is not the end of the feed. There will be another feed starting in about 4 hours. So, you know, tune into that one. I will start a new one down here so that it's on the feed. Thank you for watching, guys. Don't be boring. We will be back at Hawthorne live for the Boring Company event. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Thanks for all the great questions, by the way. Love the questions. Keep the questions coming, guys. Thank you very much, and goodbye.